viewers, we are going to discuss the Gaza situation at the moment. As you know, that there was a ceasefire agreement last week, and but again, there is a lot of violation, and still, the Palestinians are being killed by the Israeli bombardment, and their continuous attacks on the civilians. So I have with me Mr. Ahmad Mustafa. He is director, Asia Center for Studies and Translation. Thank you very much, Mr. Ahmad, for joining me. So there is accusations and counter accusations, allegations and counter allegations from both sides, the Israelis as well as the Hamas, that they are accusing each other for the violation. So where you see the violation at the moment of the ceasefire?
Of course, the violation itself is coming from the Israeli side or the Zionist side, because as you know, that Israel or the history of them and the history of the Jews mostly is full of violations, even with Prophet Muhammad, according to the verses of the Holy Quran, and we both know that. And we have a comparative example is South Lebanon and what's taking place since the ceasefire last November, and so far every day we have a violations in south of Lebanon via the drones and bombarding and so on. And the latest scandalous one, once they made this assassination of one of the guys who was injured via this pager incident, September 2024. When he was with his wife at the car, and then they found, a drone that already bombarded their own car, and they were murdered accordingly. What about Gaza and what about Palestine? They try to violate in this regard, despite the agreement were witnessed by all the greater powers and forces worldwide, and were around more than 22 of the top level leaders and the presidents in Sharm el-Sheikh, and even Mr. Trump himself, the main sponsor of this agreement. But should you know that with this violation, America in also a critical situation and embarrassing situation, and this is why that made Mr. Trump himself sending the envoys, including Witkoff and his son-in-law Kushner, a couple of days ago, and then followed by his vice president J.D. Vance, just to convince Israel just to be adhered to this method, because otherwise it will be difficult for them. And should you know also that Mr. Trump himself, he mentioned one important statement at the Knesset once he visited the region before the last Monday, because he stated before the Knesset that if Netanyahu and his cabinet sustain for one more year or more a couple of years, it will be very difficult for them, because he's saying that according to the difficult and the dire economic situation in the United States and the chaotic political situation over there concerning the governmental blockade, concerning the elections of the mayorship or in New York, and we have a Muslim nominee who is very close to the title, Zahran Mohammadani, and also the readiness of the people of the Democrats for the next midterm elections via the Congress, and a lot of economic issues and the tariffs and its negative impact on the United States and so on. Therefore, Trump also in America is not entitled anymore, and the taxpayer just to pay one more time 50 billion US dollars to Israel in this regard. Once Israel, they already got the whole grace of time, but didn't achieve any of their targets in Gaza concerning, combating Hamas.
Well, that's great. Kindly for the viewers, you just tell me what is the situation, on the ground as far as the food supply and the medicine is concerned, as being agreed under that documents, the 20 points documents which were being signed last week.
For the crossings, we have the Philadelphia and Kam Abu Salim, which are open. However, Rafah is still Israel putting limitations and didn't allow from each side just
What
to
is the
open it.
reason? What is the reason
The
why they
reason
are not?
is still this is fragile reason already debated before via His Excellency Mr. Trump and via the wise people from Egypt and from Hamas and from even Israel. The matter of the corpse of the Israeli who were captives at the hand of Al-Qassam and Hamas. However, technically, it's very difficult just to restore all the bodies or making Hamas handing all those dead bodies because first they could be decayed. Number two, they are under the bombardment and under the bubbles of those bombarded places and residential parts of Gaza. That represents a very big difficulty for them. And number three, they don't have the right equipment just to do that, and they need to get equipment from Egypt, from Turkey, from Qatar, from the other countries, even from Pakistan, just to trying to excavate where exactly are those bodies. On the other hand, if they talk about Israeli making a big challenge according to such point, we check the bodies that came from Israel today and the past days, and according to the reports of the doctor or the team of doctors over there, all the bodies were exposed to torture and exposed to robbery. Israeli, unfortunately, and this is very scandalous crime in this regard because most of the bodies they are away from their organs, livers, lungs, eyes, things like that. Even the liver itself, and it's violating all the Geneva agreements of 1948 concerning the basic rights of the hostages or the prisoners in this regard, especially the hostages of the prisoners under the circumstances of wars. And this is a big violation in that respect. And also, it can refer Israel to one more time to International Criminal Court. And today, also, we have advisory views from International Court of Justice in Amsterdam that the door is open for the other country just to file cases against Israel because Israel does not adhere to the agreements and also trying to confiscate the lands and the places, which is illegal issue, and they have to remove all the settlements that is already existed or it is considered to be existed. Because today in the Knesset they have a referendum or something like that just to confiscate the West Bank in the West Bank to Israel. I don't know, and the Americans themselves they told them please stop such irritating statements and referendums because the time is very bad and we cannot tacitly they said that
Okay,
we cannot
okay, okay.
support you in this regard.
Right. Mr. Ahmed, just tell me what is the situation of the medicines and food at the moment in Gaza after agreement signing? Do you think that the required food and the medicines are being transported to the Gaza and the Israelis they are fulfilling their promises and the agreement they have signed, are they fulfilling those international all the promises that they have made to the world?
Unfortunately, it was planned that around from 400 to 600, trucks of the Medicare and the food stuff just to go and fix this dire situation of the people of Gaza. And this is exactly approved by Mr. Trump himself once he undersigned the agreement. However, the Israeli side and their gangs, even from some agenda Palestinians, trying to undermine this agreement and the quantity of the trucks that is entering or having the access to Gaza is still around 100 or things like that, which is insufficient at all just to satisfy all the needs and the basic requirements over there, as well as the other issues like the technical support concerning how to restore one more time the electricity supply, water supply, drainage supply, internet supply. All of this now, the Gaza people, they are deprived. But the good thing that, yes, we have an agreement. America and the others, including the other countries like Egypt, Turkey, Qatar, Pakistan, Indonesia, and the other supporting countries, they are adhered to this agreement. And yes, we know that there's going to be some sort of violations from the Zionist side. It is the Zionist side. It is expected. Therefore, we are patient, and the people are happy despite all what's happening over there and all the violations, because more or less we are very close to the next phase of the third phase concerning the reconstruction and the governance of Gaza.
But do you think that this American vice president visit was a constructive and meaningful as far as President Trump's, ideology is concerned? Because they want to convince, as you were saying, that the Israeli prime minister, but he's not listening to anybody. They don't, follow any international laws, the UN or the Human Rights, Watch or any other international agency which talk of the human rights. They have killed thousands of children and women, and they have destroyed all the schools, hospitals in Gaza. So, do you think that Americans would be able to convince Israeli Prime Minister?
It is not America, it's America and the EU, because this agreement witnessed by America and the EU representatives, especially the greater countries in the EU. And also, as I told you, the situation now economically and politically is very chaotic in the West. I mean, the EU and the United States. And we are very close, as an economist, as I told you before, we are very close.
But Mr. Netanyahu is not going to listen to anybody. He doesn't care about
if he doesn't listen, he will never get any aid or any support in the future.
But he has been getting the aid from the Americans, the weapons, the dollars.
No, it was previously, everything. But not in the future. Not in the future, frankly speaking. And this is exactly the point why J.D. Vance was here, that we are not able. And the statements, remember the statements of Kushner, despite Kushner is a Zionist American. Kushner said good statements about Gaza in that respect, because he said we couldn't expect this, volume of devastation and destruction as if it was bombarded by a nuclear power.
But when he was asked by one of the journalists, a media person, about the genocide, he said no. He didn't use the word genocide, but he said yes, the children were killed.
Yeah, he's a Zionist. I told you in the beginning. But we can extract some important statements in this regard. And even Mr. Trump, he has two stances, one before the Knesset and the other here in Sharm el-Sheikh. You cannot compare the two statements or the two speeches of his side, because this is the politics, exactly. Because he wants to make
You're absolutely
this is
right.
the trading. This is the trading
from there
in the politics.
Yeah, of course. The next phase, once we are out of, the exchange of the bodies, the exchange of the prisoners, then the next, stage would be bringing a peace, in Gaza and deployment of the international force. Do you think that the Israelis are going to accept this? Naturally, they have signed the agreement, but practically they are going to accept any force from the Muslim countries or from the Europe. They will.
They will, but also provided that, and this is a legal term that I always use, Arab and Muslims and South countries should be behind Egypt and should have a unified stance and collective action. And I think after bombarding, Doha and the summit, this urgent Arab and Islamic summit in Doha, I think it has very positive repercussions in this regard. Because what happened backstages, it was unprecedented. For example, we have like a defensive agreement between Pakistan and Saudi Arabia for the first time. Mr. Ali Larijani, one top-level and highly caliber figure, Iranian figure, first time to visit, Riyadh and meet His Excellency His Highness Mohammed bin Salman. A lot of coordination in between the biggest Islamic countries and the Arabic countries and Egypt in this regard. The unification via the UNGA. I think this one also we can unify our situation with both or with all of China, Russia, ASEAN, and Latin America and Africa in this regard. Also NAM, because I know that you are a specialist in NAM, and recently in Kampala at the 19th summit over there, the last months there was a good statement concerning Gaza and give a description that is the most dire situation and the biggest genocide that occurred in the history. Therefore, we can build on that. We need more effort, more stronger diplomacy and movement from the ministers and the ministries of the foreign affairs, the strategists, the think tanks, and so on. We should have like, a priority for this case, just to get rid of this headache, because it has repercussions, not just politically, but the most important is the economic situation now. It's very bad for the whole world, not just for a specific place, and very bad also for Israel itself, because Israel itself lost around 80 billion US dollar from its economy. No tourism, no scientific research, no exports. Also, Israel, don't forget that now Israel in a very pathetic situation, because it has like international isolation in the global events, whether cultural or athletic or so on. What happened recently in Norway via the match between Norway and Israel, and then followed by Italy, and today in Britain, they are just some of the parliamentary members was not to accept or not to welcome Hakabi team in London, because it's kind of supporting the genocide. And that's it. The rallies that are taking place in the United States and Europe and worldwide, even in Japan and South Korea, and so it was the first time just to see rallies in such countries. Therefore, the situation is completely different. And again, it's the Zionist entity itself.
From where these funds are going to be generated to rebuild the Gaza, because it needs, there are different figures which are circulating in the media, but $70 billion plus funds are required. So the West is, do you think the West is going to provide, or the rich Middle Eastern, oil-rich countries, Muslim countries, they are going to provide the money?
I answered this important question before, because the real figure is 55. Maybe 70 is a little bit exaggerated. Because we made the studies, and we were discussing with economists worldwide and from Egypt as well this regard, and maybe less than that, because we don't need mediators, we don't need commissions. I think the people should know exactly what they need to do. One of the main problems is the rebels and the destruction, because it was amounted to maybe 100 million tons of the rebels. This is one of the problems, but it is one of the solution also, because one of our engineers, especially one of the developers, he said we should re-smash, the rebels and make it like blocks for reconstruction one more time, because if we dispose, of these rebels in the sea, it will be very devastating and very, bad for the ecology of the sea and so on, and the environment and the ecology. Therefore, the best solution just to re-smash the rebels one more time and make it as a blocks for the reconstruction one more time. And they need innovative developers in this regard, including the Egyptian, who already support or suggested such ideas. The Europeans, of course, because today Mr. Sisi, he was invited to Geneva EU summit, and one of the main issues and priorities in the matter of Gaza and Gaza reconstruction and the third phase. And the Egyptian foreign ministry already made a good preparation for this, because Egypt will host, if you know, in the next months after the inauguration of our greatest museum. It will be like the biggest conference ever for the reconstruction of Gaza. And Egypt welcome all the countries and all the leaders and all the presidents just to have its own shareholding in this important matters for our brothers over there. Because Gaza before 7th of October, it was one of the most developmental, spots in the region. And we have videos and footages of this in that respect. Also, we need, of course, the technical support from maybe the countries like the EU and America, just to excavate the rebels and so on, because it will help also as a Zionist entity just to find out their dead corpse and so on, as they are alleging in this regard.
Israelis have been occupying the Palestinian, land over the period of times. The last war, which held in 1967, after that we have seen that they have occupied, the Syrian land, they have occupied the Egyptian land, they have occupied the Jordanian, land. And within Palestine, they are squeezing these Palestinians, pushing the Palestinians. They did everything to push them out of Gaza and send them to a neighboring countries, which
Mhm.
in fact, some of the countries, they block their borders so that the Palestinians should stay back in their country. So, do you think that Israel is still working on a greater Israel, including because sometimes people talk of the entire Middle East being occupied by the Israelis in the future?
This is the Western and the Zionist narrative, and the Western narrative already impacted by the Zionist lobby in the United States and Murdoch, Fox News, and CNN, and all of them, they are Zionists. Frankly speaking, we know the board members of those people and how they try to brainwash the people and propagating and exaggerating the volume and the progress of the Zionist or the Israeli mentality, and how can they do that? But also, I have to remind you, we are in the month of October, and this is very special month for Egypt, because Egypt, it was the only country that liberated its occupied land, especially Sinai, from Israel after this victory war in 1973, 6th of October, if you remember such issue. Therefore, Egypt is the only country, maybe, one of the few countries, maybe, in the history that restored its own land, first by force, second by strong diplomacy and negotiations, so on, that lasted until getting Taba, very close to the border of the Zionist entity in 1989. Therefore, Egypt outside, the countries that had, like occupied lands and so on, even Lebanon via the resistance over there and via Hezbollah, headed by the martyr of the nation, Hassan Nasrallah, they liberated Lebanon in 2000, and then 2006 they already has bitten or had bitten Israel in this July or Tammuz war 2006, if you remember. For the matter of Syria, it was very complicated, because Syria had some problems and some issues concerning, the October War 1973, and then followed by, the governance of Bashar al-Assad. And Bashar al-Assad, unfortunately, he wanted the other just to defend his land, especially Russia and Iran, and he was totally mistaken. And right now, the West already proved someone who is fully submitted to Israel and America, Ahmad al-Shara. But I think this, in my view, Ahmad Shara will not remain in this regard. But we have to ask ourselves, back to the question, we have to ask ourselves the main question: did Israel achieve the goals, or Netanyahu achieve the goal, just to occupy Gaza and displace the Palestinians and extinguish and beat Hamas? It was the three main goals of Israel that America and the EU give these 2 years grace of time for Israel to carry out that. However, he didn't achieve all of it. Therefore, Israel has been beaten. This is
But
the
he
logic.
killed, but he
And
killed, but he killed thousands of children, which is a
this
genocide.
is,
He
yeah,
he
yeah,
he
yeah,
killed the children
and
so that they should not
yeah,
grow up and become,
yeah, yeah,
uh,
yeah.
another problem in the youth and when they are grown up.
This is frankly speaking the price that the Arab and Muslims should pay, because they were deceived by the West and betting on America and the EU more than 40 years. Unfortunately, I'm here not excluding anyone, including Egypt and your country as well. And
So the,
this we have, as I told you before, we should have a collective action as Arabs and Muslims. And maybe it is like the grace of Allah, the matter of Gaza, just to be united one more time, and having or making a difference in the international scale holding or the international arena or so on. And I found, some maybe features for this maybe flooded to the or appeared on the service of the CAP, it is a very important issue in this regard. Also, the matter of Palestine, for one more point, is very similar to the matter of Kashmir, because we were talking and propagating that Kashmir should have its own self-determination and so on. Therefore, there is a correlation between the Kashmiri issue and the Palestinian issue in this regard, and having its own, independence and so on.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ahmad Mustafa. A very comprehensive and detailed, opinion regarding the Middle East, especially the Palestinian situation. And we will continue to contact you and bring you on this, important issue. Thank you very much for joining.
I'm very happy to join your program, dear friend, and I hope to appear one more time. And I hope to just cooperate with your side fruitfully, as we discussed before, because I think this is a time just to collaborate on the level of D8, on the level of OIC, on the level of NAM, on the level of South-South cooperation, because this is a good time for us to do that, because I think that Gaza unified us, which was the good thing that we already got from the Gaza or the Palestinian cause in this.
Agreed. Thank you very much.